Welcome to my channel. In today's video, I will be breaking down the top 5 sourdough struggles that a lot of bakers have. I baked 3 loaves for you today, an underproofed, an overproofed, and a loaf with a perfect oven spring and a light and fluffy crumb. A weak sourdough starter will not get you a good loaf no matter how many stretch and folds, no matter how perfect you do your recipe. It will not come out good if your sourdough starter is not strong and healthy. I feed my starter a 1:3:3 ratio every time I feed it. I never feed it a 1:1:1 ratio because that can eventually lead to your starter getting weak, and you don't want that. You want your starter strong. Mine always triples in size. When your starter is at peak, it should have a lot of bubbles on top, a lot of activity. When you put it to the side, you should see that it is flat and not domed. You should see bubbles on the sides of the jar, and if you tap it on a surface, you should see webbing on the sides of the jar, as if the starter is holding on to the sides of the jar. So keep your starter happy and it will give you beautiful loaves. A loaf that is flat and doesn't rise nice and tall can be an over fermentation problem, but it could also be that you are not building enough gluten strength to your dough. When you do your stretch and folds, you always hear people say, mix your dough into a shaggy ball and then let it sit for 30 minutes and do 4 sets of stretch and folds, just pulling the dough, folding it over, and going around the bowl 4 times. But no, you have to keep going. If your dough lets you and you can keep stretching it, keep going around the bowl until it starts to pull back. I also like to grab my dough and flip it over. That way I can do some slap and folds, as you can see here, and this is a game changer. You have to build enough gluten strength so your dough can rise nice and tall. This usually takes me about 2 minutes total. And then once your dough is nice and tight into a ball, you can wait the 30 minutes and do your second, third, and fourth set. This is my 4th set right here. I haven't even started, and look at that, a window pane. If your dough does not have a window pane, that means you did not build enough strength to your dough, and it isn't really strong and is not going to rise as much as it would if you do proper stretch and folds or stretch it enough and not just leave it into a shaggy dough ball. As you can see here, my bowl is clean and there is not dough just everywhere. Look at how smooth this ball is, and I have no dough on my hands even after the second set. So make sure you build enough strength to your dough, that way you can have a great oven spring. We all know what underfermented dough is, so I will just cut to the chase and show you exactly what it looks like. And if your dough looks like this, please let it sit longer. The dough is beautiful and I build enough gluten strength. So even though I did everything good up to this point, if I shape it too early, it will just be super dense and gummy. So when I do the poke test, you can see that the dough is just sticking to my fingers, but the dough just stays sticking out. This is a clear indication. Also, what I'm looking for is for it to feel super aerated. Right now it still feels super dense and I can feel like tough dough. I don't know how to explain it, just very dense. You want it to be very aerated, like you can feel the bubbles almost. This can also happen if you use your starter before it has reached its peak and you mix your dough and then you feel like, oh my gosh, 10 hours have passed. I should shape this dough. It's ready. But no, when you use starter that is not at its peak, it will take so much longer for your dough to reach its bulk fermentation. If your dough takes forever to rise, you can use warm water. I like to use water that's about 90 degrees, and usually my dough ferments in about 5 to 6 hours, really, really fast. So you just have to get to know your dough and make sure that if it feels dense and not airy when you are shaping it, that it was not ready. You can see that the dough just came off of the bowl very nicely, and that's because we did everything right up to this point. And this is what your loaf would look like if it's under fermented. It has uneven holes. It looks kind of shiny and wet. So just push the bulk fermentation a little bit longer. So now I will show you what an over fermented dough looks like. So right here you can tell that there's lots and lots of bubbles, which is great. It's nice and jiggly. It's pulling away from the bowl. It is not super stringy, so it's not super over fermented. If you see it from its side, like right here, it's not domed anymore. It's more flat than anything, and you want it to have a nice round dome. This dough is actually not super over fermented. It actually looked really nice when I baked it. I'm sure you guys saw in the beginning of the clip and you guys were like, where's the over fermented loaf? But this was it. It just came out so good. I don't know, maybe my starter is really strong or it needed way more time on the counter. I actually let this proof on the counter for 12 hours and it was still really nice. Like it wasn't overly sticky. I wish I would have gotten a super overproof dough where it just looks like runny dough because that's what I've seen online and that's what I was aiming for, but it didn't really turn out that way. But I hope that this short clip showed you guys what to look for if your dough is over fermented, and just make sure that next time you like write it down on a piece of paper and take the temperature of your dough and say, you know what, this one took 12 hours and it was over fermented. Maybe let's try 8 hours. See what happens then. On to the dense and gummy loaf. Usually it's due to under fermentation, but if it's not and your loaf is perfect and you did everything right, it might just be that it's slightly undercooked. You want to make sure that your loaf is between 205 and 210 degrees Fahrenheit. You also want to make sure that it cools down a minimum of 1 to 2 hours. If it feels a little bit wet and shiny on the inside, it is not finished baking. The steam needs time to redistribute. Now I want to show you a well-fermented dough. When I jiggle it, you can see that the dough has some jiggle to it, and you can see some bubbles on the surface of the dough. When I touch the top, it's slightly tacky, but it's not sticking to my fingers. When I pull the dough away from the bowl, it comes off very nicely. And when I flip the bowl over, I see a lot of bubbles everywhere. It also comes off of the bowl very easily with no help. And when I'm shaping it, I need little to no flour on my surface. I also want to mention that you do not need your dough to double in size like everyone says. Your dough should rise about 30, 50, 75% even. But if it doubles in size, essentially it has risen 100%. And when you put it in the refrigerator, it's just going to overproof in the refrigerator because it's going to continue rising because the dough is still warm. So it's going to rise at the same speed in the refrigerator until about an hour or two when the dough fully cools down. Then the fermentation will slow down. But if you let it rise to 100%, which is double in size, your dough is essentially ready to be baked at that moment. Getting a thermometer is very, very helpful. That way you can follow the sourdough journeys chart. That way it can help you. That's a great first step. If you are really struggling until you get to know your dough, then you really won't need that. It's not 100% accurate. Sometimes it could be a little quicker than the chart or a little bit later. It just depends on your dough and the temperature. Sometimes the dough temperature will drop or go up higher depending on how hot or cold your environment is. So here is just a comparison between all of the loaves once again. So I made the two little ones small because I just didn't want to overproof or underproof 3 loaves. So I just wanted to make these small. We're still going to eat them, but look at how cute they came out. And I'm going to be honest, I think my overproofed loaf just came out perfect. I don't know. That one sat for 12 hours and it came out great. So even if you have an underproofed, overproofed, perfect loaf, it still will taste great. Just keep practicing if you just want to achieve the perfect looking loaf. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching today's video and I'll see you guys in my next one.